Welcome to Golden Mastermind Seminars Radio with your host, Jeffrey Combs.
Good afternoon, everyone. Jeffrey Combs. I'm running just a little late here on Facebook Live. So good to be here with you. Been in and out of construction projects, producing results, closing sales, and coaching clients in a relaxed body. And that is the topic for today's Facebook Live. It is being and staying in a relaxed body. So that with what's going on in the world, the Democratic convention, the Republican convention, the threat of the next pandemic, epidemic, the banking cabal, all of the situations that are going on in the outer world, it's important in your inner world that you're in a relaxed body, meaning that you can adapt and adjust to the situation at hand in higher consciousness. I want to say hello to my long-term client friend, John McFadden. Cheryl, thank you for joining me, and Javier, thank you for joining me as well. It's good to be here with you on Tuesday, Facebook Live. Facebook Live is a byproduct of a long-term commitment to hosting originally a live conference call going back to 1999 or even in 1999. I did my first live conference call on a Tuesday afternoon at 5 o'clock, and then I moved that to Tuesday on 2000. I moved it to and reframed it to the More Heart Than Talent Mindset Call. So from 2000 to 2017, I hosted 18 years. I hosted a conference call that had, at the peak, I would have up to 500 people on a call. When I would have Jim Rohn, Mark Victor Hansen, John Assaraf, Dr. Joe Dispenza, and some of the other speakers, Dr. Judith Orloff, Susan Sly, and some of the clients and then speakers that I was sharing stages with in that time frame of my career. So if you're on here today, Aaron, good to see you. If you're on here today, this is the byproduct of a vision and a dream I started back in 1999 called the More Heart Than Talent Mindset Call. Now it is a 4 o'clock Eastern every Tuesday mindset Facebook Live for my clients to plug into. Today's content is being and staying in a relaxed body. I just looked at some of my property values that I own real estate, and I do own them outright, and I see that they have plummeted in the market. So in a relaxed body, I took a deep breath because I understand real estate. I've been a real estate investor and real estate holder, free of debt for many, many years. So I understand markets, trends, how it operates, but the lower self-ego wanted to go into panic and or fight or flight. That's the value of learning the skill of letting go. Be able to accept the feeling, breathe into it, and then release that feeling and come back into my body. So Kevin Clinton Paulson, longtime client and follower. Aaron, it was great to connect with you last week. And Jared Aversano, looking forward to connecting with you. And congratulations, Aaron and Jared, on your successes. And Jared Andre, I know you're all being mentored and you're producing results with Josh Waxman. For those of you who do know Josh Waxman, if you go down my page on Facebook or you look on Josh's page, 5 years ago today, Josh and I were in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and at the time, Josh was a restaurant owner. He was a up-and-coming restaurant owner, franchise owner in the city of Philadelphia, and he brought, and David Hammer, you too, my brother, good to see you this afternoon, and you too, Casey Converse, the producer. So Josh, 5 years ago today, brought his team to, and his manager's name was Keith, and if you ask him about Keith, he brought his team from 2 restaurants to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania today, this day, and there's a picture of Josh and I on Facebook commemorating that event. Josh was 23 years old back in the day. So good to see everyone here today. Breathe, release, and let go. And Yuritsa, thank you from the center of my heart for bringing your team to the Facebook Live this afternoon. So let's thin slice today. So thin slice means you're able to have clarity in the outcome you seek to create. And by breathing, releasing, and letting go, you're letting go, first of all, of the anxiety, fear, and doubt. And then as you thin slice anxiety, fear, and doubt, what you're thin slicing is doubt. And so if your communication is based on a light of kindas, I guess, probably, and other words of non-commitment, then you're transmuting that into the universe. You're transmuting that into your selling conversations. That's called a mixed message. So if you are in fear, scarcity, lack, a lot of credit card debt, worried about the debt you hold on to, how are you going to pay it off? And if you're a sales professional and you've experienced chargebacks or refunds or any of these situations, I feel you, my brother, my sister. It's a way of life as a salesman, saleswoman. It's a gut punch when you have to face these situations. And this is why when you feel these feelings that you go in, instead of going into fight or flight, you feel the fight or flight, you experience it, but you let go of it quickly, because if you keep experiencing it, then you're addicted to the experience. This is why letting go is such a valuable skill. I teach it. I'm a world-renowned master of letting go. I've spoken in 4 continents, 47 states, 1,042 keynote speaking events. I've coached 15,000 clients, 150,000 hours one-on-one, 36 years of recovery of drugs and alcohol, 16 years of codependent recovery, and then 26 years of one-on-one coaching. And I just got one of those gut punches today. My city charges me 0.009% on my gross. I mean that's really a WTF moment. I get this bill once a year, and it brings up feelings of vileness. It brings up feelings of being victimized. My city charges who even does this? 0.009 on your gross. And you have to fill out this long form and then pay the city with a smile. But in being completely transparent, it brought up anger, rage, feelings of violation, but it lasted about this long because that's what thin slicing is. I handed it over to my assistant in a relaxed body. He is brand new, and I told him how he can research figuring this out. So instead of me doing it for him, he will learn how to do it himself, so that as my assistant, he is self-sufficient, not self-reliant. And that is also a leadership mentoring skill that you teach your team, your culture. You are there to lead by example, and you will mentor the mentees, but you also, by leading by example, you're not there to create a dependent team. You're there to create an independent team that comes together for a common cause. And that common cause is reciprocity, prosperity, team building skills, and then you as your own leader are building your own culture at the same time. But if you're in fight or flight, telling yourself stories about not being good enough, I'm not sure of this, what's going to happen in the future, well, then you're just going to be overwhelmed. And if you have a lot of debt, you don't pay all your debt off. What you do is you chunk it down. You chunk your debt down with profit dollars. I have paid off multiple real estate properties by paying the principal and then making a separate payment. Many people do not understand that when you're paying debt, you have to make 2 payments on debt. You pay debt to the main debt, and then you pay debt to the principal. And you have to have a separate check to do that in a mortgage, or once again, you become part of the debt machine, which can keep you overwhelmed in anxiety, fear, and doubt. And this is why it's so important that you learn to be and stay in a relaxed body. So that means, in cliches, that means you would be as cool as the other side of the pillow. Stuart from ESPN used to say it must be jam because jelly don't shake like that, meaning that person had great moves. And so that means smooth. So as you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, your objective is to be smooth, to be cool, to be calm, to be in a relaxed body, not to go into panic patterns and overwhelmed. If you have a refund, a debt, a challenging customer, a challenging client, it's going to be your responsibility to understand that the world is filled with narcissists, with people who are angry, and the world is also filled with great people who want to be your client and your customer. And there are people that you will have to be able to neutralize, have clear boundaries with, that you'll let go. And as you become a professional at what you do and who you are being, then you will no longer be the mind-body connection to the events that shape the feelings. Every one of you watching this Facebook Live today, if you're in a direct sales company, a network marketing company, real estate, if you own your own business, if you're a coach, if you're an influencer, an affluencer, then you are unequivocally in the law of alignment. You are in the right place at the right time. Then you have to factor what is going on in the world today. We're in the most uncertain times in the history of our world, especially mine. I am 67 years old. I've never experienced this uncertainty. If you look back at 2019, 5 years ago today, when Josh and I were in Philadelphia, it is a different world that we're in right now. We're in acute uncertainty. That's why it's going to be your responsibility, your ability to pray to your God, your ability to ask for that providence, your ability to be and stay in that relaxed energy where you're as smooth and as cool as the other side of the pillow, that you have ice in your veins, you do not get rattled easily. And if you encounter situations that aren't favorable, you chalk it up to one day. And when you rest that night, you wake up in a more refreshed energy, a more relaxed body. And your objective is to be able to be your best one day at a time over a long career, over a long lifetime. And that comes from the simple emotional discipline by being and staying present. That's in the now. It comes from letting go of your anxieties, fear, and doubt. It comes from letting go of your emotions that creates your doubt. The emotional code that will create your anxiety, fear, and doubt is anger, hate, resentment, rage, frustration, disappointment. That's the anger family, the 6 faces of anger. Then there's abandonment, rejection, similar but distinctly different energies. There's guilt and shame. There's overwhelmed feelings. There's grief, apathy, and pride. Those are the emotions that comprise the neurological network of neurons that wire and fire that form the emotional code of anxiety, fear, and doubt. As you have a better understanding of why you react to stimulus, then you start to create the recovery process. The recovery process is fostered by understanding when your body is in fight or flight and how you learn to interrupt that fight or flight mechanism that has you feeling out of control in the emotion of overwhelm. You do that by the acceptance of the feeling you're in. You accept that you're angry. You accept that you're worried. You accept that you're freaked out. You accept that you just had a challenging day. You accept that someone just cut you off. You accept that you just got a letter in the mail telling you that you owe $5,000 on something that you were not expecting that to happen. You accept that, and then you do your best to be your best to live in the solution of the problem. But if you continue to hold on to the problem, then you will create your own level of force. Now you have to step out of the dual world of black, white, right, wrong, good, bad, win, lose, that duality mindset, that duality dichotomy that so many people live in. Your objective is not to win or lose. Your objective is to be your best self and then attract your reality, the best clients and customers that you can attract. The affluent customers, the influential customers, the customers who pay now, the customers who are looking for value, the teammates who are looking for a leader, mentor, the leaders and the teammates who have influence and affluence, who can walk into your life and create a different situation for you. This is what happened to me over an 8-year period. 1989, I became clean and sober. On December 17th, 1988, I entered into sobriety. In that next year, I started my first direct sales business. So I spent 8 years learning direct selling skills. I rode the roller coaster up the down staircase and had only 1 year in my first 8 years of 6 figures. And I had a very high overhead, so it wasn't even a real year of 6 figures. I just basically broke even. I was renting an office. I was supporting my whole team. I was spending too much time being the man and not enough time focusing on my own business. And after 8 years, I ended up $100,000 in liability credit card debt on 15 different credit cards. I don't even know how I got 15 credit cards, but I ran the table on that debt cycle in that time frame. But I knew that as 1996 was ending, that 1997 was going to be a better year. I could just feel it. I'd been offered a job, a 6-figure job, plus bonuses for 2 of my friends. One was a pro football player in Malibu, California, and I passed on the opportunity because I did not want a job. It's a good thing I did because they went out of business. I started a new business. I answered a little ad in the USA Today that said, I refuse to let you fail. And that next year, I had my first multiple 6-figure year as a direct sales professional from a tiny little apartment in Stockton, California. I was paying $600 a rent in 1996. And I had a multiple 6-figure year, like multiples, almost a 7-figure year. It was a breakthrough year for me after 8 years of toiling laboriously into the midnight hour. And what happened to me is in that 8th year, they showed up. A different group of people begin to show up in my reality because of the message I began transmuting. I started listening to an audio cassette program called Prosperity Consciousness. It had a huge impact on me, and the author was Frederick Lehrman. I later became friends with him and shared the stage with him over 30 times in my career. You can find his content on Nightingale Conant. You can also find one of his old YouTubes with Phil Lott on money consciousness. And I highly recommend his content. So he's the first person who ever brought to my attention to improve my dialogue with money. Now, I thought I was good with money, even though I had a lot of debt, and money came, but money went. And I was not a good steward of money, and I was not a good steward. I was not a good leader either. I was a producer, but I was not good at leading, and I was not good at mentoring. I was very average, and I had to get clear on that and get honest with myself that if I was ever going to be wealthy in a leveraged business, then it's got Frederick Lehrman, Jared, Lehrman, Prosperity Consciousness. And the same situation is going to apply to you. Your business is going to be a direct reflection of who and what you attract. It doesn't matter how skilled and talented you are. That is one component. But who are you attracting to your reality? And this is going to be from in the people you mate, date, and marry, in the people that are your friends that you're friendly with, in the people that you are employed with, in the people that are in your team, the people in your culture. It requires rigorous honesty to understand that if you have rejection issues, abandonment issues, if you're not comfortable with yourself, and if these show up in your life, it's going to show up in your business. And that means one day at a time, you start to live in that relaxed body. You breathe, you release, and you let go so that you are no longer the mind-body connection to the events that shape the feelings. You feel the fight or flight. You feel that fight or flight, that angsty angst, that edgy edge. You feel that worried worry, that doubt. You feel that anger, that rage. You feel that scarcity. You feel your poverty consciousness. You feel it and you accept it rather than denying it. When you're in denial of it, you're pressing it down. When you're accepting it, you're rigorously honest. When you are honest about where you are, you have just raised your consciousness because you've now accessed the quality called courage. When you access courage, that's the breakthrough to higher consciousness, because courage means that you are rigorously honest. If you're a chronic avoider, procrastinator, it's because you have deep anxiety about being responsible. If you have fear of success, what you really have is fear about being responsible. If you have fear of failure, what you really have is fear of success because you have anxiety about being responsible. If you're a chronic avoider, procrastinator, it's deep issues of not being good enough, about not being responsible, the ability to respond. This is why so many people react to the stimulus of fight or flight, then they stay in that emotion, then they recreate the same situation and attract the same situation in poverty consciousness, broke thoughts, and lack. It's the very reason that many people don't hire me, because of the story they have with their own ability to create the resources, their own ability to be and stay in a relaxed body, and it'll show up with you too. It's not just me. You'll encounter the same situation 7 days a week. People who tell you they see the value, their mouth moves, but they can't access the resources. They aren't resourceful enough to be able to live in the solution. They continue to dwell on the problem. And so then they have a story that they hold on to, and that story is called the payoff. When you are no longer the mind-body connection to the events that shape your feelings. You are separating the feelings. You're creating an allow space so that you can allow reciprocity, prosperity. People to your reality will begin to show up. Right, Scott Fellini. Scott Fellini is one of my clients who's been in the direct sales industry since he was 18 years old. He has seen and done a lot in multiple ventures and is now in a place where he's receiving the providence. The Lord will provide, the people show up. All of a sudden, the energy changes and you go from 100,000 to 1 million. You go from sucking air to millionaire. All of this can happen on what's called a quantum leap. 2 plus 2 equals 16. That's the quantum leap. That's the sum is greater than whole of parts, or U2 squared. So when you have this quantum leap, you will feel it, you will see it, you will know it. It will happen, provided if you stay in this process long enough, you begin to master your emotions, you master the skill of letting go, and you separate your feelings so that you are no longer in this anxiety, fear, and doubt. You're no longer in poverty, consciousness, and lack. You're no longer in scarcity. You're no longer worried about your future. You're focused on the solution. If you are new to my content and you would like to receive a free 20-minute coaching call from me, feel free to reach out to me and send me a message in Messenger. Or if you're a former or existing client would like to either rehire me or add on to your existing coaching, please send me a Facebook message. Diane Hunt, good to see you this afternoon. Diane is absolutely in the hands-free flow zone as people are absolutely showing up. Amber Schiff, good to see you this afternoon. Paula Jean, always an honor to have you on my Facebook Live. Scott Fellini, thank you for being here this afternoon. I'll be hitting the record button for replay so that if you want to hear this content, it will be available to you in just a few seconds. It's good to see all of you. Have a prosperous afternoon. Breathe, release, and let go.